The city of Everton burned beneath a blood-red sky. Flames rose from the forest hills like angry giants, swallowing homes, schools, and memories. Sirens screamed through the smoke, while people fled with whatever they could hold. That night, the fire took 20 lives, and with them, the peace of an entire city. But when the ashes cooled, they needed someone to blame. And they chose Ethan Cole. A father, a factory foreman, a man whose only crime was being there when everything went wrong. He said the fire was an accident. He begged them to believe him. But the city was grieving, and grief has no patience for truth. In a small holding cell beneath the courthouse, Ethan sat in silence. His hands cuffed, his head bowed. The air smelled of rust and regret. He had lost his freedom, his friends, and the faith of everyone he had ever known. Everyone, except one. His daughter, Hope. Days later, she came to see him. A little girl of 8, too young to carry so much sorrow. Through the glass divider, they spoke through the prison phone. Her hands were small, trembling as she held the receiver. His eyes, tired and hollow, softened when he saw her. "You shouldn't be here, sweetheart," he whispered. "This isn't a place for you." "I had to see you, Dad," she said softly. "They say you did it, but I know you didn't. I prayed every night that someone would listen." He smiled faintly. "No one listens anymore, Hope. The fire took too much. They need someone to hate." She pressed her hand to the glass. "Then I'll make them listen. I'll make them see who you really are." And she did not mean it as a wish. She meant it as a promise. The morning of the trial came. The courthouse was packed like a funeral. Outside, gray ash drifted from the sky like snow. The reflection of burning hills turned the courtroom windows red. It was as if the city itself had come to witness its own punishment. Ethan was led through the doors in handcuffs. He did not lift his head. To the crowd, he was already guilty. To himself, he was already gone. And then, the doors opened again. A small voice broke the silence. A little girl walked down the aisle, her blue dress fluttering, her face pale but determined. The judge frowned. "Who let this child in here?" "No one," she said. "I came because no one listens to my dad." The courtroom murmured. Some laughed, others whispered. But she kept walking until she stood before the bench. "The city burns," she said, her voice trembling but clear. "The fire is eating everything. But if you believe my father is innocent, the fire will stop." Laughter rippled through the room, disbelief, mockery, fear of what cannot be explained. Even Ethan turned to her, whispering, "Hope, please." But she did not move. She simply looked at the judge, and in her eyes was something ancient, something pure. The judge's gavel struck once, echoing through the chamber. But before he could speak, a sound rose from beyond the walls. Thunder. A single raindrop touched the glass, then another, then 1,000. The courtroom fell silent as the sky broke open. Rain poured down, washing the red light from the windows, extinguishing the reflection of fire. And for the first time in weeks, the city of Everton could breathe again. The judge looked up, trembling. He stood slowly from his bench, his voice shaking. "Mr. Ethan Cole, please stand." Ethan rose, rainlight shimmering on his face. For too long, this court saw only guilt where it could not find understanding, the judge said softly. But today, I see something I cannot explain, and yet I believe. He paused, looked at Hope, then back at his papers. Ethan Cole, you are hereby found not guilty. All charges are dismissed. The courtroom gasped. Some wept. And as the chains were unlocked, Ethan dropped to his knees, his daughter running into his arms. You saved me, Hope, he whispered. She smiled. No, Daddy. You saved yourself. You just had to believe again. When they stepped outside, the rain had not stopped, but it no longer fell with anger. It was soft, cleansing, full of light. The fires were gone, the clouds began to part, and for the first time, the city smelled not of smoke, but of rain. Ethan Cole walked free, not by proof, but by faith. Hand in hand, father and daughter walked down the courthouse steps, their reflections shimmering in the puddles of a world reborn. The sky above them opened into gold, as if heaven itself bowed to the power of a child's belief. And so, they walked into the rain, not as prisoners of the past, but as proof that even in ashes, faith can bloom again. For where fear begins, faith ends it. In the quiet after every storm, we are reminded that faith is not about fire or rain. It is about what remains when both have passed. A child's voice once broke the silence of judgment, and in that moment, heaven answered. May this story remind us that truth and mercy are never far apart, and that sometimes all it takes to change the world is to believe again. Subscribe to Human and Animal Kindness for more stories of faith, compassion, and miracles that heal the soul.